Hi, everyone. A very good morning, evening, afternoon from wherever you are joining us today. I am Shravana, and I have been in the end user computing space for a while now in a lot of different roles. But now I'm here in Microsoft in a product strategy and marketing role. And I'm really excited to be here today with all of you awesome folks to be talking about the new Microsoft Intune Suite.
And I'm Lior Bela, same team as Shravana, so also a product strategy and marketing, focusing on the Windows Autopatch and Intune Suite. But you know what? Let's go to our MVPs. For those of you who do not know what Microsoft MVP is, it's a program that stands for Most Valuable Professionals. It's a group of IT experts from all over the world that are knowledgeable and experienced and are able to share with Microsoft insights. They are getting to test a lot of our solutions early, but also get to share with their communities information about what we are launching, what we're doing, and we're going to cover some of it today. With us, we have Adam, we have Sandy, and we have Dean. Dean, do you mind giving a quick overview of yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Dean Ellaby. I'm an Enterprise Stability MVP and a Security MVP. I'm a Senior Cloud Security Architect as a day job, but I mainly contribute to the community using my videos on YouTube, which are around training videos for Intune, and I try to throw in some security topics there as well.
Hi, hello. Yes, I am Sandy Zheng. I am located in Finland. My day job is Senior Cloud Architect. So I work as a consultant, and I helping customers managing their endpoint devices, and then do something related to Azure and automation, security. So anything I'm interested about. So that's my day job. And also I'm a Microsoft Mobility MVP, actually Enterprise Mobility MVP, and also Windows Insider MVP as well. I have been become an MVP since 2018, so has been now like 5 years.
Hi, I'm Adam Gross. I'm a MVP as well, Enterprise Mobility for the past 3 years now. I'm also, my day job is I'm a manager over computing solutions. My team covers endpoint computing and mobility and virtualization. So we cover the whole stack of just all the end user facing components of productivity. And I'm also on the side, I do consulting and blogging, and then you may probably have seen me on Intune.training on our YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm just all over the place and having a wonderful time and hanging out with the community.
All right, so that was great. Thank you all for the awesome introduction. I think now I want to talk a little bit about the Intune Suite and really want to hear your thoughts. So my question is, now that we have tried Intune Suite a little bit, it was launched in March. What is your initial reaction and thoughts to what this Intune Suite is? What value does it really bring to our customers? Dean?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So I think for me, the suite brings together all of those individual features that, in my opinion, were kind of missing from Intune right from the start. So things like remote help, accessing people's computers remotely to give them support. That was, in my view, a core feature of any endpoint management solution, and it wasn't there. And there was integration with a third-party solution, but it didn't really cut it for me. So I found that remote help was really an awesome addition to Intune when that was released as an add-on, and that's bundled with the Intune Suite now. So that and all the other valuable stuff that we've just heard about coming into the Intune Suite, I think that's the value it brings. It's all bundled together, and it's all that stuff that we were yearning for as a community.
That is true. I think especially when we think about and when we speak with customers, it's like reducing that complexity, and you're trying to bring in all these different solutions, integrating into Intune. I think it is that huge value add. But I would love to learn more from Sandy on your thoughts.
Okay. Most of the time when we are doing some project with customers, most challenging is not how to implement some functionality or feature. Most challenging question is always about licensing. We don't like to talk about licensing. So that's why I'm actually thinking, for now, the Intune team bringing Intune Suite can help users reduce the complexity of licensing. As we know, we have so many features that what we want. And if telling customers that you can have standalone this and standalone that, and then they end up choosing each individual product with each individual licensing, it's really having headache. So bundle all the good features into one licensing program. I think that's really good approach. Especially now we have this excellent security feature that what I liked most is the endpoint privilege management. Now it's also inside the bundle. Of course, you can get it as a standalone, but I think inside the bundle with other security features that what Intune is now giving to customers, and it gives excellent benefit.
Awesome. Adam?
So, I mean, do I have to pick one? It's a whole suite, and that's the best part about it. It's all of the things rolled into this wonderful package with more to come. I mean, the initial release of items is already a great offering, but seeing what's coming, in the future on the roadmap here is phenomenal. I think it's taking Intune to that next level. It's really adding some features. I think it's features that we've never seen before. It's not just features that are being added to Intune, being ported to Intune, but it's things that have never existed. The possibilities are endless in the space, and it's great to see kind of this really big push for investment into the Intune platform to add value for the customers.
Adam, let me double click on what you just said. I know that you mentioned during the introduction that you're doing IT right now, you're doing some consulting. Where do you see the biggest opportunity, the biggest improvement from the Intune Suite to some of your customers, or even internally to the company that you work for?
So I think you can approach it from two different perspectives. So one is customers who have never stepped into some of these technologies. Maybe these things have been on your roadmap, but the barrier to entry is too high. I personally don't like the using multiple tools to integrate to do all of our work. So being able to have a single pane of glass, I think, is definitely one of those selling points. But then you also have the other side of things of you've got customers who potentially have environments that where you've already got maybe even a mature platform with a lot of these tools and technologies in place that do exist. But there's an opportunity here to converge all of those into a single platform, reducing the agents on devices, reducing the amount of overhead that you have in order to care and feed for those systems. So all of those things I think are great selling points for customers that either have never stepped into some of this stuff. I mean, even for specifically like EPM, the privilege management stuff. That is huge in the zero trust space. On I don't want my users to have admin rights, but I want to enable them to do their work with minimal IT involvement. I don't want to have to keep maintaining access lists and rules and one-offs or giving out permission. So all of those types of things I think are it's a really easy step to take to be able to enable this in your environment, add a huge amount of value and security into your platform.
That's exactly how I see it, especially the reduction of support tickets, that every person that wants to install something, you need to go and give them a special authorization. I absolutely agree with you on this one. What about you, Dean?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that is most exciting for me is, again, just bringing all these tools. But as Adam just said, it's not tools that are just getting better. Intune is constantly in development. It's constantly getting better. It's constantly being improved. But it's like a step change in the features that have been released and announced here. It isn't just a continual improvement. It is a huge, big difference. So endpoint privilege management, for example, as Adam just said, is something that I didn't imagine would be coming into Intune very soon at all. It's just fundamentally different from an endpoint management perspective. Having that as the ability to do zero trust and allow people to elevate permissions on a per app basis and a per person basis, per group basis, that's awesome. And then when we look at remote help, again, that's something that we could use a third-party tool for, and there are organizations that have heavily invested in third-party tools, and this brings it all into one suite that they've already got with the rest of the suite.
And Sandy, what about you? I know that you mentioned enterprise privilege management, but any other solution that you feel going to be beneficial for your company, for your customers, for your colleagues?
Well, besides the endpoint privilege management, there is other feature or other products I liked as well. So the first one is remote help, because remote help let your IT professionals helping your end users remotely, as the name calls. And then another feature that also I like is the cloud PKI. I'm not sure if the name is actually cloud PKI or does it actually call like a cloud certificate. Because in the past project, we have helping customer to move devices from move their environment from on-premises to the cloud. Challenging is also the certificate. So if we can now start using cloud certificate as a product and totally managing by Microsoft and offer us a service, then we can probably not to using so many on-prem infrastructure. So I think these two particular feature I also likes.
Thank you. Sandy, you talked about the endpoint privilege management, and my next question is about the security value in the Intune suite, right? There is a significant amount of IT value, but when we talked about the advanced app management and the cloud PKI, and especially the endpoint privilege management, we think there's a significant amount of security value that comes with the suite. I want to know, what are your thoughts that does this suite really bring IT and security operations closer and really help in bridging that gap?
Yes, absolutely. I remember 5 years ago when I first time using Intune. That was in 2018. So at that point, I would think Intune is mostly like the old time GPO. You configure some settings, you deploy to your device, and that's it. But now, after 5 years, I have seen Intune has been growing and is more and more close to the security feature. A lot of them. So the first I would notice is that Intune now have integration with Defender for Endpoint. This is a really good thing. For also, like Intune can configure ASR, attack surface reduction, device control, all of these security features. And as I can see, in most of organizations, they have a really big challenge, day-to-day life. It's security and user experience. Sometimes it's really hard to balance both. It's like you want to secure your devices, you might want to remove your users and admin permissions. And yet some users, for example, developers, they might want the admin permission back, of course, because they might need to install some applications, and then some application might be need to have to run as elevated as access. So now in Intune Suite, we have this excellent feature that is endpoint privilege management. That is the most feature I like in this product. I have been testing that for a couple of the days. I can say I am really happy about the product. It's like a happy. So when I testing that, I was able to remove the admin rights from a user, so I become a standard user. And then I was able to configure all kind of settings to the user itself, or actually the device itself. And then I was able to install and run some applications with elevated access, but without admin credentials. So that was an excellent feature. So it's like I can secure my devices, and also the user experience is really good. So I really like the product.
Thanks, Sandy. Adam, what are your thoughts on the security and the IT value of the suite?
On social media, actively on Twitter and Reddit, I would say that the certificate management is probably one of the biggest things that comes up regularly on a blockers to moving to Intune, or specifically moving to Azure AD only, because a lot of folks have NPS and have certificate requirements, and those all tie into on-prem Active Directory. Being able to issue certificates from the cloud securely and be able to trust devices that are coming in from the cloud and integrate those into your network access control or Wi-Fi systems in order to be able to provide secure access to your network. moving that into the cloud is just one of those. It's just removing yet another barrier to entry into Intune. And I would say that, along those lines, if you are on the fence and you're saying, I need to, I want to start doing this, but I've got so many blockers, start working on it now. Start your journey. It takes a while, and it's an organizational change. It's not just let me go turn this thing on and flip the switch, but you can get value immediately out of Intune with not a lot of effort. But there's so much in the suite, or in Intune together, but adding in the suite, we're getting so much extra value that it's going to take you a long time to realize all of the benefits of all of the stack there. So start your journey now, even if you're not fully ready to go. I think it's now's the time to start doing that. Then you bolt on from the security perspective, the third party app management stuff. That's huge. How many applications do you have in your environment that you installed one time and then you've never looked at again? I think many organizations are in that space. So being able to have your application securely updated and patched with the regular cadence is important. Being able to then have that integrated directly in Intune to be able to pull that stuff down is even more amazing. So I think that's just we're seeing that already with with Winget integration for the new store, getting rid of the old store for business. All of those things are building towards this holistic application management approach, and I'm looking forward to what else is coming in that space.
Love that. Thanks, Adam. Dean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I love the fact that, firstly, Defender for Endpoint, for example, is integrated into the Intune portal. All of the configuration you do for Defender for Endpoint on devices is via Intune, right? And so when we look at the Intune Suite, it's a seamless integration of all these new features. So endpoint privilege management, remote help, all the other features that we're going to be talking about are just in the portal. You can use them as if, as any other part of Intune. Same with Defender for Endpoint. So it brings it all together into, I don't want to say, but a single pane of glass where you can just use Intune to manage all your devices and do all of your security through that tool.
This is great. And, we talked about a lot of solutions because Intune Suite does come with a lot of capabilities. So we talked about EPM, enterprise privilege management. We talked about remote help. We talked about just cloud PKI, the ability to move certificates to the cloud so there is no dependency on on-prem, which is huge. We have Tunnel, which is a great way to connect, bring your own device, for example, to a VPN. We also have the advanced app patching, which I'm going to ask you in a second, Shravana, because I know that you've been very involved with it. And a lot of great other capabilities that are coming with us in advanced endpoint analytics, clearly, which is amazing. I got it tested, and it's amazing because the ability to see all of the insights of your organization and your endpoint, understand if there are failures, what are the failures, where you should focus on, versus just looking the whole estate and try to identify what are the problems and where you need to spend time on. Endpoint analytics allow you to do it. Shravana, before we going back to our MVPs, do you mind give a little bit more overview on advanced app management?
Absolutely. And I might sound biased because I have been working on this quite closely, but really very, very excited to get this to the market and to customers. Every time we have had conversations with customers, it truly feels like an important need to be able to manage your third-party applications and like you all just mentioned, right? Like to be able to make sure that you're able to update and keep them updated. And so in the beginning, we will have an enterprise app catalog, which is going to have a third-party application. So basically, it helps IT admins to securely deploy them, configure, or automatically package those applications. So reducing that IT burden that they have to go through, and like the amount of time that is really spent on that truly really goes away. The complexity of managing those applications from different portals, that goes away. And so it's very, very exciting with what's coming in the next few months. And also there are going to be many more enhancements to it, right? So we are starting with the enterprise app catalog, and then we will also have the guided updating, in that case you will be able to update those applications and keep them updated. And I think it's really going to be a big value add for customers.
Well, Adam, I just mentioned advanced endpoint analytics, and again, I know that you do a lot of IT management in your job. What's the opportunity over there from your point of view?
So I love data. I think data tells amazing stories about your environment, and when you, especially when you, I love using Power BI, and I will pull data into Power BI, and the moment you visualize the data, you immediately see anomalies in your environment. Being able to take that sort of thinking, that way of looking at data, and have that automatically being generated within Intune to be able to see anomalies, to be able to see the device timeline, to see what's going on, with the idea that we can have proactive remediations built on top of those anomaly detections, and all the possibilities are endless as far as the data goes. I can see a scenario where I can just ask Endpoint Analytics a question, and it will formulate the right query to go out and look at in my environment. I can say, hey, I deployed this version of this application. Can you give me specific information about crashes or usage or things? I mean, that's the way I'm envisioning, and that's probably even limiting the scope of what it could do. So all of that then ties into things like, okay, what if I have a security application that's critical to my environment, and it's crashing regularly or it's not running? Hopefully I can use Endpoint Analytics to view that data and to report on those anomalies and say, okay, let me define a list of critical applications that I need to be monitoring for, and be able to look at that stuff. Now, some of that may not actually exist today, so I'm projecting what I would like to see. So, but these features are just coming out and being developed, and one of the benefits of being an MVP is being able to be in the conversation on some of these things and help drive these directions. So I'm putting my voice in the conversation, saying these are the things I would like to see. So hopefully we do get to see some of these things as this develops.
So building up on what Adam just said, let's take a step back. Assume that you are sitting in a super secret room at Redmond, Washington, with our engineers, product managers, business folks, and you get the opportunity to express what you would like to see coming up to the Intune Suite. What would it be, Sandy?
Yes, sure. Secret mission. I love secret missions. I would think now in Intune Suite, it has quite many good features, as we spoke, but maybe can be still a little bit more. For example, more proactive, like remote actions, on-demand actions. So if I wanted to remote trigger some, for example, PowerShell scripts, that would be cool to have. And then also in endpoint privilege management, for now, I have to manually configure all the file hash and certificate and configure all the settings. So I would think might be good that if allow end users to send a request, and then the request can see in the Intune portal, and then just let the IT admin to approve that just in time, like once. So that would be great.
And I have good news for you. More capabilities will be coming. Shravana, do you mind adding any more information about things that are coming?
Sure. I think few things that are coming in the endpoint analytics space is, the device correlation, which basically now that we have the anomaly detection, there are going to be more enhancements to it. Basically, be able to understand what is the issue that is causing this anomaly. So we want to be able to look at the anomaly, but we also want to be able to understand what's really the reason behind it, and to be able to take actions based on that. I think that's very exciting, and we will start talking about it soon. So that's something that's coming up. I already touched upon the advanced app management patching. Again, that's coming soon, and really excited to start with the enterprise app catalog, getting into the guided updating, and much more, many more functionalities that will be following. Yeah.
And with that being said, I really want to take a minute to say a huge thank you to Adam, Dean, Sandy for taking the time to join us today and share some of the insights and the feedback that they have on the Intune Suite. I know that each one of you have blogs and you have videos, and we're going to make sure that we are linking them on the screen over here so everyone can enjoy it and go watch those videos and read the blogs and learn a little bit more about the benefits of the Intune Suite and capabilities in 200 and 300 level.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks.